Hello and welcome everyone to the 8th official episode of Discordant Dragons. We've had some technical issues today. I've had a long, challenging day, so the stream was a little late, but all technical problems have been conquered to my knowledge, and it seems that things are going to go on what's the right word here? Well, it's going to have the regular hillbilly internet problem, so I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect. However, unfettered. Thank you, Wes. Thank you. Today, we have returning the illustrious Aydin Paladin, as well as a host of other wonderful guests. But before we get started, I see that we have the mod, White Healing, already telling you what you can do in the chat. I would encourage everyone here to start using entropy as a regular way to view this stream and communicate with me and my community, because who knows how long I'm going to be on YouTube before I get yeeted. So, over on Entropy, not only can you give financial donations in the form of paid chat, you can also participate in a censorship-free area, and there's a thing over there called the question widget on the left-hand side. And regularly in the stream, I look at that question widget to see what you guys have to say, and the users in the community can vote those comments and questions up and down to show how well received they are. So everyone needs to get into the habit of using Entropy, and the links are in the description, courtesy to our moderator, White Healing. And of course, if you'd like to financially support the stream, there's multiple ways you can do that. You can use Cash App, PayPal, and Subscribestar. And of course, I have a physical address if you want to mail me anything, and I have I think it's called Mycelium Wallet. Mycelium Wallet. I have a Mycelium Wallet. So if you'd like to donate crypto, you can do that as well. I even have a regular Bitcoin donator. I'm up to about $70 over there. So, or I'm sorry, $17 over there. So thank you for that. And without further ado, welcome to this episode of Discordant Dragons. We are going to bring on our party members, and the reason I say party members is the nature of the show is I am a representative to the Council of Worms. This is a make-believe fantasy Dungeons & Dragons setting, and dragons want to know about our confusing and interesting world. And I am the ambassador, so I nominate a party to help, let's say, bring understanding to Clown World for these dragons from another epoch, from another time, from another plane. So, the party today consists of a fan favorite, Wes Wyleven. Welcome back, Wes. How are you doing today, my friend?
Howdy, folks. Oh, I'm doing just fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Glad to hear that. We're also joined by another fan favorite, the smooth-voiced Ginger Monster. How are you today, Ginger?
I'm doing considerably better than Wes, so that's just to say the least.
Wes sounds a little under the weather. I myself have been a little under the weather, too. I have a seasonal croup, and I could barely talk Saturday. So thankfully, that's starting to clear up, and I'm doing better today. And speaking of nice voices, we have my co-host 3 of 12. How are you doing today, 3?
I'm doing just dandy. How about you?
Glad to hear that. And last but not least, we have the illustrious Aydin Paladin and Deep One Bill. That is Aydin's +1 today. How are you two doing today?
Well, I'm pretty good. I don't know how Bill is.
Doing wonderfully.
We have another deep-voiced UK Islands person with us in here. Always nice to have another one of those. And Aydin showing us all up with her awesome 3D background on her picture. That is pretty cool, my friend.
Oh,
I
I
like
just
that
had
a
it
lot.
set up. I just had it set up for the Star Trek stream I did like 2 weeks ago.
Well, before we get rolling here, I would like to thank Aydin for that wonderful time that we had Friday. For those of you that might have missed it, the last Unit Corner Club, episode 32, was an excellent conversation between Aydin and I where we talked about a lot of cool, interesting stuff. Definitely check that out when you have time. And Bill, you have a history of playing role-playing games and writing and stuff. And you want to take a moment to introduce yourself and tell us what you're about?
Good evening. I'm Dick Bill. As the introduction suggests, I'm just a simple DM for hire. I've been bibbling around the kind of Skeptosphere adjacent regions for quite some time now. Usually did work back on Knuckers as a channel back when that was still around, and did some work with a few people here and there, getting work with I could.
All right.
Overall,
Well, I'm glad you're here, and hopefully you'll enjoy the stream and have fun with us today. Speaking of having fun, I'm going to introduce the dragons for today, and we're going back to the retro picture. This is the very first one that I made with the mask and the silly autism hat. Today, the dragon topics are: the green dragon is the mask is slipping. The black dragon says black drives scatter. The red dragon shouts eat the bitch. It's a play on eat the rich. The white dragon says jabpartide. And the blue dragon says critical race table. Now, the reason critical race table is a pun, for those of you who might not know, is in role-playing, especially from the 80s, it was a popular thing for role-playing game rules to have unnecessary amounts of tables to roll on, especially critical hits and critical fumbles. And so critical hit tables sort of became a meme for years among gamers. So critical race table is, of course, the pun for that. So that being said, we are all assembled. Council of Worms wants us to handle these 5 dragons issues. So we are going to pick numbers. I have 5 people present, starting with the illustrious guest, Aydin Paladin. What number 1 through 5 do you want, my friend? And I'll roll to see who gets to pick first.
5.
You want 5. Deep One Bill, which number do you want?
4's apocryphal. Let's go with that.
All right. Next up, Ginger Monster. Which number do you want, 1 through 3?
Normally I would pick 2, but that doesn't seem to work out very well for me, so I'll go 1 today.
Now, Wes, you normally pick, don't you?
No, I always pick 3.
Oh,
So-
3. Okay. Well, that's going to leave 3 of 12 as number 2 then. How does that sound?
Damn it! I was gonna take 3.
Well, I'll let you two hash it out. Which one do you guys
Yeah,
want?
you good.
Go
You
ahead.
good. Take it. Go ahead. You already clicked.
3 of 12 is much better as number 2 anyway.
Why
Very
is it
good.
so lewd?
What do they mean by this?
What do we mean by this?
Off to a wonderful start already, I see, everyone. Good job. Well done. All right. Well, we're going to roll a D10 and half that. Rounding up, of course, that's known as a D5 for you gamers. Here we go. Oh, fell off the computer. Here we go. Let's do it again. Oh, that's a 10. I believe that's an Aydin Paladin because that halves to 5. So, Aydin, of these 5 dragons, which one would you like to start with?
Let's do the mask is slipping.
The mask is slipping. Very good. All right. That will be the first NY Post article here. Boop. And boop. Here we go. All right. Southwest kicks man off for not wearing a mask while eating Twizzlers. A Maryland man was booted off of a Southwest airline for not wearing a mask while eating Twizzlers. This is a quote, by the way. I, Avi Mandel, just got kicked off a plane because I wasn't wearing my mask in between each bite while eating Twizzlers. This happened in Baltimore County, according to him.
Oh,
That's
I'm not
so
shocked
sad.
at all now. Never mind.
That's so sad. That's so wrong, Mandel told the news outlet. It was absurd. The way I was treated was absolutely absurd, crazy, and it wasn't fair. Mandel was waiting for the plane to take off from Thurgood Marshall, Baltimore, Washington International Airport. What a mouthful. for Fort
BWI.
Lauderdale on Sunday when he opened a pack of his frequent snack, Twizzlers. A flight attendant told him that he had to put his mask on and kind of like then ran away, according to him. So he thought, I guess she didn't know I was eating. But then I immediately hear on the loudspeaker, everyone who's eating has to wear a mask between bites. Now,
What is that what he was doing?
Now, those of you who don't know, I'm not going to put the article up here, but very recently, the Biden administration, through some federal committee, has actually made a federal rule about this that is in place through September. So this is a federal transport issue. So whether you're on a bus, on a plane, on a train, the local metro, all of these insane Fauci-esque rules apply in the entirety of America if people choose to enforce them. So that being said, we are going to move to our illustrious green dragon. The green with us today is a wise old worm from a wetland region of humans and dwarves. He is cordial and wanted to thank the party up front for humoring his questions. He has noticed that the decree of kings in our lands, which is called federal, and if the king's decree for masks is causing such social strife, what could be wrong with our kings and queens? Are they governed, or why are they governing like scared, weak mothers? Are they seeking to divide their subjects into obvious camps, perhaps? To him, he could see clever leaders who want totalitarian power utilizing social issues like these to force those who threaten their tyranny to reveal themselves willingly, thereby making their sweep of opposition even easier. Is that the purpose of the grand attention that mask and lockdown protests receive via this media magic? He humbly thanks the party in advance for sharing any wisdom they might have on this situation. And I'm going to leave the Green Dragon's picture up because he's so pretty. So anybody
That is quite a
first?
pretty picture.
I think he's unfortunately correct. I can't see any other reason for it. I mean, what we're facing right now with this is that, we're being told that it doesn't matter if you have your vaccine. It doesn't matter if you've waited the 2 weeks. It doesn't matter. You're going to have to continue to wear the mask anyway. And the reality is, and I'm sorry, this is a very spicy topic that YouTube sure doesn't like, but it is a form of social control. It's a form of conformity, of making sure that everybody conforms and does what they're told under the threat of fear, because fear is a very powerful persuasive device. And not just fear, but social ostracization.
A fear of losing that social connectivity specifically.
Australianization.
Australization. But no, I don't think Australians would care as much. But it is a powerful fear because you watch people. We've seen so much of it happen where people will enforce these rules without any outside intervention. They will choose to enforce them, and of course they will because they're terrified. They've been basically scared to death that this a disease that, let's be real about. I mean, like, anytime you bring up the fact that 99.5% survivable for most people outside of the elderly, like, that's like, oh no, you can't say that because what about grandma, or what about sick people? I'm not trying to minimize, certainly, that yes, this is a dangerous virus for certain people with pre-existing conditions or who are over a certain age. However, the real question is going to be, what are we supposed to do long term? Because we're already hearing, again, like I said, you have your vaccines. It doesn't matter. You're still supposed to keep wearing the mask. And I think that we need to go back. And some of the things that we heard very early on in COVID was new normal. And when you have people afraid all the time, I made a video about this a couple months ago.
Oh,
when
yes.
When people are afraid all the time, they're much more easy to persuade because they want to reduce their level of fear. Fear is uncomfortable. Fear is painful psychologically. So people will acquiesce far more readily to things that they find to be terrifying when they're in a heightened state. And in fact, one of the things that I in my video that I looked up was actually like acquiescence to more liberal ideas. And actually it found that people, when they were scared, would go towards whatever was being offered as a panacea to their fear. So if the people were saying, well, if you just follow these rules, then eventually we'll lift them, then eventually things will get better. But why would they ever give it up?
Okay.
Oligarchs, the powerful, they never give up their power once they have it.
Well, you seem to be confirming what the Green Dragon suspected. Anyone
I
else
think
want to
he's
weigh in on this? Anyone else want to weigh in on this?
Well,
Put
I'd
their
love
2
to
cents
rant
in
about it. I mean,
Okay.
Aydin already did a great freaking job, but I think there's an additional aspect to it. Is that the way that the establishment particularly sees how much they can do? They continuously probe and prod and see what they can get away with and what people will pay attention to and what will actually affect them. It's very possible that they're just incompetent enough to not notice certain things have made people like us extremely uncomfortable with the way that they've been acting, but they seem to go far and beyond the limits that any rational person would think that anyone would put up with this, because they're just trying to see what the absolute limits of this are. That's all I can. That's the only other thing I can assume.
So
It
you
explains
think-
the more ridiculous things.
So now, keep in mind, we're telling this to the dragon through me. Like I have the telepathy crystal ball here with the tongue spell.
Okay, so
So what
TLDR
you're
version.
saying is you think that the people that are manipulating this and using this for public control, you
Yes.
think they're wanting to test the limits to see how easy it's going to be to shift into whatever this post a new normal new world order stuff
Right.
is.
I mean, they're so insanely greedy, they cannot help but keep pushing the limits.
The dragon nodded his head. He understands. Ginger, Wes, Bill, anything you guys want to put in on this?
Yeah. I was mostly just going to sum the situation up with. I'm sure the dragon is aware of the saying, give them an inch and they will take a mile. That's a similar situation to what's happening here, except instead of taking that mile, they just keep taking inches over and over and over again. They just keep pushing the populace ever so slightly, ever so slowly. And then eventually, once the populace has realized that they have inadvertently given the authoritarians a mile via small incremental inches, it will be too late.
Wes, Bill, anything to add?
Well, what I would indicate, I'm not sure how well troubled our scaly friend here is. Perhaps if he's travelled as far as Ravenloft, he might be familiar with Bleak House.
He is of
very much
a
the same flavour.
he's of a series of wetlands, kingdoms and regions. Think more of the northeastern area, like Cormyr, around the Sea of Fallen Stars, that type of area. That's the kind of region he's from.
Certainly a more palatable region than Ravenloft. But the principles are the same, which is enforce a mask, make sure there's proper de-individuation. People can't get a full grasp of what each other's expression is. You limit their communication. And then you inject the element of fear, you inject the element of paranoia and the fear for oneself and fear for one's standing as well, pushing a pulling person in two directions at once. And then every inmate is an inquisitor.
Yeah, pretty much.
On every corner, a guard, and the inmates will police themselves in the asylum.
Well, unless Wes has anything to add, the dragon seems satisfied, although he does give us his condolences that it does seem like we have our work cut out for us against these subtle tyrants of information.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say that. You know, it's interesting that he comes from a wetlands area.
He does.
There's a certain famous wetlands area that I happen to hail from myself that is certainly giving the big middle finger to this bullshit that's going on. Excuse
I
me,
have been
Frank.
loving every minute of that.
And you know, my ears perked up when the dragon said that he came from a wetlands area, and he seems to be aware. So maybe there's something to that. But you know, for those of you who have listened to to Discordant and Dragons, and for those of you who may have heard me in other places as well, y'all know I ain't a fan of this. Yeah, y'all know that I am quite the opposite of a fan of all this stuff that's going on, and I realize we've been going on for a while on this topic, but you know, there's pretty much everyone has broached this topic very, very perfectly. Aydin, you pretty much said almost every point that I usually bring up. All you guys, excellent job. But there is one more thing. That's the fact that with every single time that shit like this happens, every single time that a family is kicked off because the 2-year-old won't wear a mask, every time that someone is thrown out of a restaurant because they don't put on the mask between bites, every time one of these news articles gets made, more people are waking up to the bullshit. And for those of you who don't know, I live outside of Seattle. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
My condolences.
Yeah.
Don't know how you do it.
I had me a very interesting year last year. I used to live inside of Seattle, actually. But that is another story that we can get into later.
Indeed.
But I saw people unironically double masking, and they do not double mask anymore. And I asked them, I said, why do you not double mask anymore? And they said, well, it's bullshit. I'm like, oh, really? Why do you think that? And I've started going down the rabbit hole with more and more people, and less people here are buying it. And there is more soy per capita here than almost everywhere else.
It is a pretty soy-rich environment in Seattle, isn't it?
I got to tell you guys something. It is getting less and less acceptable. You still see it every once in a while.
I hope too. I do hope that we're going to have some kind of movement away from what we've had the last 10 or 12 years. I do hope for that. So
it's already happening. You look at Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Georgia. Look at all these states that are moving away from it. Look at the shit that's going down right now in Michigan. You know, the California is recalling their governor. They're voting for it.
And the local people in rural Arizona banded together to stop that mask craziness with their kids.
Exactly. You know, like the longer this goes on, like the thing is yes. You look at the mainstream media, and you look at all these talking heads, and you see it happening over and over and over again. You see them complying, but you know what? Trevor Noah himself, who those of you who don't know, host of the Daily Show, not that great a person in my opinion, but even he's starting to question it now on the show.
Really?
Oh yes, yes. I have heard from other sources that even pundits, the usual shills, are pushing back a little against this now. So that's pretty good. That's a good tiding, we'll say. With that, we're going to bid adieu to the Green Dragon. Again, he thanks everyone graciously. He's a very cultured dragon, you see, and he says he looks forward to speaking with us again another day. So we're going to bid him adieu.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'll see him in the swamp.
I'm sure that you and him could talk about your love of cute, scaly creatures of the wetlands together one day. All right. So that leaves 4 topics. 4 topics for today. Now, we've already handled the mask is slipping, which leaves 4. And Aydin has already chosen. So that number is out of the lineup. So we're going to roll a D4 now to see who gets to pick the next topic. That is a 1. So who was number 1?
I believe that's me.
I believe it is as well.
No, it's China.
Okay.
No.
There's jokes in this episode, everybody. All right. So between Black Drives Scatter, Eat the Bitch, Jabpartide, and Critical Race Table, which one do you think that you'd like to go with next? I'm also going to have to kill that 3D background, taking up too much bandwidth in my hillbilly internet. So we're gonna go with a static background. There we go. I'm going to have to just let Aydin upstage me. I can't help it. I ain't got the bandwidth.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. We're all friends here. So, Ginger, of these 4 remaining dragon topics, which one would you like to do next?
I think between all of them, the one that strikes me as the most interesting is Black Drive Scatter.
Oh, you've picked a winner, friend. We're going to have a good time with this one. Woman charged with killing NYPD officer in drunken hit and run hours after saying F the police on live stream.
Oh my God.
A New York woman faces a 13-count indictment, including manslaughter, after plowing her car into an NYPD officer while driving drunk and killing him. Hours prior, the suspect went on an anti-police rant on Facebook Live while downing lots of liquor. Jessica Bouvet, 32, was arrested early Tuesday morning after slamming her Volkswagen into the officer. He was a 14-year veteran on the force who succumbed to his injuries at the hospital later. At the time of the incident, the officer killed was directing traffic following another fatal car crash on the Long Island Expressway. But we don't need cops, guys. You got to defund them, remember. They don't do anything.
Oh, yeah.
According to a criminal complaint obtained by the New York Post, Beauvais had been charged with 13 counts, among them manslaughter and other stuff we talked about earlier. But the interesting thing is her BAC upon testing, after it was all said and done, after she was apprehended, after she resisted arrest, she still blew a 0.15 on her alcohol test. For those of you that don't know, that's more than double the drunk limit. When she was stopped, she asked the officers, "What did I do?" "Oh, I heard a thump. I guess I knew I hit something, but I didn't know what it was." She also reportedly was combative with the police, according to the Daily News source, saying, "F you, I ain't got to listen to you." So, the Black Dragon that joins us today is a veteran of many wars between dark elves and giant kin, serving many dark elf queens as a tutor of wizardry. In his dealings with the capricious and manipulative drow, he learned that generations of abdicating responsibility created a spiritual weakness in the dark elf cities he frequented. So much so that before the giant kin finally routed the drow, the queens couldn't even muster leadership necessary to have troops in battle, much less the order necessary for a stable society. So for the party, he has 2 specific quandaries. First, while he knows our darkskins are not chaotic elves, he sees similarities of behavior that make him believe they are on a similar path of destruction. He asks if the party agrees, I got tongue-tied. He asks if the party agrees, and if so, how, and if not, how. His second point is he believes defunding the police and encouraging the abdication of responsibility will only do harm to our dark-skinned fellows, and those of light skin who push this agenda clearly do not seek the well-being of the darkskins. He would like to know if you agree with this assessment and for you to elaborate on the why that could be behind such an agenda. Anybody want to take a stab at this first? Oh, good. Right on time, huh, Ginger? We always hit the
Apparently, Cuckoo has something to say.
So, if any of you want me to reread the Dragon's Quandaries, I'll be glad to do that.
Yeah, I'd appreciate a reread.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah.
I got distracted by the cuckoo.
That's okay. His first quandary is while he knows that the darkskins of our lands are not the chaotic dark elves, he sees similarities in the self-destructive behavior, the path that they're on. He asks if we agree or not, and if so, how. Secondly, he believes that the defunding police and encouraging the abdication of responsibility will only harm our dark-skinned fellows, and that those of light skin who push this agenda clearly do not seek the well-being of the darkskins. He would like to know if you agree with his assessment and would elaborate on the why that could be behind such an agenda.
Well, I'd say the why is that they've accepted the postmodernist lie that they shouldn't be objective or hardworking or wholesome in any way whatsoever.
Well, that's not a why, that's a what.
You mean
that is what they've accepted, but why would the light skins that have filled their heads with these lies for generations. What's the why there? It clearly can't be for their well-being, he postulates.
It certainly isn't for their well-being. It's so that they can be controlled forever.
Yep, there it is. It is the modern plantation mindset. Certainly lots of people have spoken about this, but it's the plantation mindset of the Democrats have been the party of slavery forever. I know not everyone likes this narrative, and I have criticisms of it myself, but there is some merit to it. I mean,
that trope exists for good reason, though, be fair.
Well, it's Dinesh D'Souza's argument, right? So I know a lot of people are not fond of Dinesh D'Souza. But
hey, even if broke clock's right twice a day. No offense to the cuckoo clock present.
Right, but I do think he's correct on this.
Cuckoo's been on time today.
That's true. That's true.
I do think it's correct in that, the Democrats were the party of slavery, whether people agree with that or not. They were generally the party of slavery, and we had this idea of the big flip or the big switch. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but the reality is that if you go to modern U.S. cities, Black people, for the most part, live on a Democrat plantation. They grow up under the welfare state. Not all of them, but people who live in the inner cities and tend to be generally impoverished live on a Democrat plantation from birth to death. The
dragon also would like to comment on what you're saying. He says that while he knows that the people of this world are all human-based, that there is a matriarchal similarity between the drow and our darkskins in these cities, because it seems that male and female parent couples and the presence of father figures has been almost eradicated from these groups.
Oh, that's for sure. How about the fact that the majority of Planned Parenthoods tend to be in predominantly Black neighborhoods? I mean, that alone is a genocide. The fact that we have discouraged Black fatherhood, because Black fathers can just leave, and guess what? Instead, they can be replaced with daddy government. So, as to why is this happening? It's because people have been conditioned this way to a degree. Not just conditioned, but promised things if they continue to go along with daddy government, with the Democrat slave plantations that exist in these cities. As to why, is this a harm towards Black people via Black Lives Matter? It absolutely is. But they've been told very much to the contrary, that they know this is all in their best interest. And the astonishing thing is much like the masks, it's self-policing. So if Black people try to break away from these lies that they've been told, they get called Uncle Toms, Tim Scott, perfect example, right? They get called race traitors. They get told they're acting too much like Whitey, and it's really. I
would always defer to the brilliant wise man Thomas Sowell and all the ugly things he's been called over the years.
I know. And Thomas Sowell was brilliant, and I highly recommend everyone should read Basic Economics.
Yeah, he's still alive, girl. He's old.
Is he still alive? I think
he's 150. Yeah, he's old as the hills.
He does. Well, he still uploads new videos on YouTube like every week.
Oh my gosh, I have to get on that. My head, he had. Sometimes, like when you read, people, when you read their works and it seems so wise, you're like, that person must be dead.
Yeah, the Hoover Institution is clearly imbuing him with liquid capitalism to stay alive.
Excellent, but I mean, it's very depressing to see Black people fall into this, I would say, self-defeating mindset that they have to live up to these stereotypes, but they do because in some ways it's easy. I would say it's easy to kind of defer responsibility and say anything that happens to you, is someone else's fault. That's why the defund the police thing is so popular, because in so many cases, it is the fault on some level of the person who has committed a serious crime and then resists arrest. But it's easy psychologically to say, no, they weren't responsible. When you defer responsibility, it's more comfortable. To have to accept responsibility is difficult. And unfortunately, the Democrat Party has babied Black people in many ways, which is incredibly racist, in my opinion. But as a result of that, taking responsibility is very difficult. More and more Black people.
I don't like to use the word racism. That's an ugly word. Let's just say anti-Black.
Yeah.
That's a very anti-Black thing.
It is anti-Black.
Racismus. Yeah, I don't like how that word has damaged our society. So whenever
agreed,
up,
anti-Black,
like anti-Asian, anti-Black, or anti-African, that kind of thing. That's how I like to phrase things. But anyway, the dragon understands what you've said. Did any of the rest of the party want to chime in on this, or maybe elaborate something that she didn't get to?
Well, there is the, I believe, driving focus of this, which is the removal
Is that a
of...
pun? The driving focus of this?
Depends whose car it is. But then, be that as it may, the issue at hand is that I believe the main just thrust of the argument is to try and get rid of the guard caste as a voting bloc. As anyone who has seen any kind of major dynamics in society, a guard caste, a policing caste, usually has quite a lot of clout, especially when it comes to democratic process. So
Because
the
if
removal of
there's
them,
just chaos, then the people with real wealth and power control everything without any pushback. Yeah.
yeah, it introduces the mob as a bigger aspect. So
The dragon nods his head and
enforces more.
understands. He says, in the end, that's how the giant kin of his world triumphed over the drow. Is there was no middle leadership. There were no elites other than the priest queens that tried to just rule the rabble, and it was nothing but rabble in the end, and it just collapsed under its own weight.
I feel in this situation the drow are something of a decent analog, but though in this case the government takes the place of Lolth, and just when everything seems so bleak, when all of the weight of your heritage crashes down upon you and oppresses you, Jarl Axel's there with an outstretched hand, saying, "Don't worry, we'll make everything better."
That's a little too deep lore for most of our viewers, unfortunately. But I, of course, understand every word you said. Ginger, Wes,
okay,
you
we'll
guys
make
want to chime in on
things
this before we let this dragon go?
Jen, do you want to go? Oh, I don't think he's available.
Oh, there's something wrong with Ginger. He might have.
Yeah.
Maybe he's having a private aside with his clock.
Jesus.
You know, there's one thing. So some mentions of Baldur's Gate and whatnot have been mentioned, but I would like to fulfill my stereotype and bring up Star Trek.
By all means, please do so, friend.
Let's do this.
There's a character in Star Trek introduced in season 2 called Guinan, and in one of my personal favorite episodes, she talks about.
He's excellent as Guinan, one of the great characters of Next Generation.
Oh yeah, in my opinion, one of the best. She talks in a particularly good episode about an entire race of people, of disposable people, willing to do the jobs that no one else wants to do. And I would argue the main character of that episode, Picard, makes the connection at that point, realizes what he's been talking about, what he's been fighting against the entire time. Talking about slavery. That's what, and it's speaking in a larger, broader sense to the Black Dragon's larger question is, and adding on to Aydin's point that, while the big switch of the whole Dixie Democrats into modern Democrats and the Republicans took their place, is not true. There was a switch, but the switch was from the Dixie Democrats to the Yankee Democrats.
Yep.
Where these Democrats, they kept up their antics, they kept up their plans to keep this race of disposable people infinitely being generated in their proverbial plantations. 200 years ago, hell, 100 years ago, they were plantation homes. Now it's projects funded by the welfare state and single moms that are sucking off the tea to the government. Now, I'm not saying that welfare is completely bad. Of course I'm not. Sometimes it's needed.
I would.
But the simple fact is you got the war on drugs, and you got that damn 1994 crime bill that is keeping black families fatherless. And not just black families, poor families.
Exactly. As we've talked about on the stream before, fatherlessness is an even higher predictor than other things of being a disassociative criminal.
I believe the statistics are that 70% of young African Americans now grow up without a father.
Yeah, Aydin, you're our statistician pro here. The last I looked at it, the fatherlessness was the highest predictor of the different categories of what creates a disassociative career criminal type. In your knowledge, is that true still?
I don't have that stat off the top of my head, but that makes sense from everything that I've seen in my many years of looking at demographic data. Not having a father in the home is incredibly deleterious, particularly for young men.
Yeah,
Of course it is.
Yeah, of course it is.
I
And
didn't mean
this
to
is-
derail
this is-
there from Wes. Wes, look, we can get back to what you were saying there to wrap up with your Star Trek allegory.
Well, no. Like the thing is, Picard ends up building off of that to make the glorious Picard speech about, seeking out new life. There it sits, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Picard 20, 30 years later or 50 years later proceeds to shit all over that point. But that's another story. But it's so debilitating. And you bring up people like Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell's big thing was fighting against welfare, like Milton Friedman. Like
Yep.
he hated the welfare state. But why? Why did he hate the welfare state? Because it was the chain that around the neck of black people, of poor people.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, man. Like, you can't be having, like, the longer we keep these people. Again, I grew up in one of these neighborhoods, and I'm Italian, I'm white, I'm ish, Sicilian, so more.
Oh my god.
But the thing is like you like I've seen it. I know people to this day. I was destined for it if I wasn't smart enough to get the hell out of there at a younger age.
Yep.
Like, it keeps you down. The culture keeps you down. It's the crab bucket. These ghettos, not ghettos, these Section 8,000 and welfare state. It's the crab bucket where you're like, oh, you're talking right, you're studying. Oh, what are you trying to be white? You're trying to be white, and it's like, dude, homie, if being white means I'm a successful person, I feel good about my life, and I'm securing a future.
Then I guess I'm white.
Children and grandchildren and other members of my family. Yeah, give me the talcum powder and spray it on my face, homie. Call me right till the cows come home.
Well, on that wonderful, hilarious note, we're going to wrap up with the Black Dragon here. He appreciates the candor and all of the input, so he thanks you and says he'll definitely put in a good word with the council for our reward today. So we're at the 45-minute mark. We're halfway through the stream. So what we're going to do now, after the second dragon, I like to check the community. I see a whole bunch of people in chat from over at AA's stream that they came over. Howdy, everybody from that cluster. That's Academic Agent, by the way. That was the stream that I had to be a part of earlier. I also see a lot of people from the White Will community. You guys must have come over here from Jason's roll-in stream earlier today. Good to see all you guys here too. And I see several people from the Scrubs community. Good to see you guys here too. Most of you UKers, I know. So let's check Entropy. Entropy, we have some activity over here. We will get to those paid chats after I refresh Cash App and PayPal. All right. Also, howdy to Morty over on Trovo. Don't have many people that come over to Trovo, but Morty always says howdy, so good to see you over there on Trovo. We're going to start off with the thank yous by saying hello to Sister Althea over on DLive, and thank you to the great Thor Null for dropping a Ninja Genie for me. That's 1,000 lemons for those of you who don't know. Thank you for that, my friend. For Null, I'm going to put his link in the chat. He is the stream that we go to after this one on Monday nights. He's a DJ. He hosts with visual and audio media something called the Dragon Synth stream, where it's interesting fantasy mood music or stories like stuff like Beowulf and that kind of fantasy stories read by people with interesting accents. It's great, and I'm going to share all of his links.
Oh wow, that sounds cool.
It's really fun. Yeah, I go over there to relax after the streams. That's what I do to unwind Monday nights when we're done here. So I'm going to put his links
live, or is this something that's recorded?
It's live every Monday night, 2 hours after my stream starts is when he starts.
Oh,
so I'm putting his links here right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I don't
pass
think
out.
I'll ever be able to catch it then.
That's okay. I take as many people over there after my stream as I can, and I invite anybody who's awake and wants to just unwind and listen to some chill fantasy synth music and have some excellent I don't know, just some good, chill, accepting times. Come over with me. We'll have a chill stream over there with him. So that's the Dragon Sense stream from 4-0. And thank you for the Ninja Genie over on the D-Love. I appreciate it. Now we're going to move to the paid chats on Entropy. And to let you guys know, I put the Entropy link in chat all the time, and you can find it in the video description. That's how you can send paid chats and unpaid chat over in the question widget, also known as the Tall Kevin widget, over on the left-hand side of Entropy. So, starting off, we have a trio of £5 super chats from Reconquista UK. He says, top marks on the AA response with his first one. Thank you very much. The AA stream earlier was a response video going back and forth between Academic Agent and I about some serious topics. And thank you, Reconquista. I'm glad you enjoyed what I had to say over there. Reconquista, again, with the second one, says, Eureka Critical Race Tables explains why my Sword of White Privilege +1 always scores a critical miss and always seems to give a reaction penalty with NPCs. That's pretty damn funny. That's a good paid chat. Thank you very much. And last but not least, in his trio of £5 messages, he says, anyone remember drug-resistant super rats? Strange that the Fauci-sponsored CCP virus mutates to become more lethal and contagious, contrary to normal epidemic behavior when not enough people use experimental gene therapy. Let's get a big think in the chat for that. Let's get a big think emoji for that. That's a big think right there.
Yeah.
Take that back a moment. Did you say super rats?
Yes. Back in I think that was that the 80s, the 70s? When was the drug resistant super rats in New York? When was that?
I think that was the 90s. Early.
Was it the 90s? Okay. I knew it was when I was younger. I don't recall the particulars other than hearing news stories about it.
This is the first I've heard about it.
Well, we can look that up another day. Reconquista UK, thank you so much for the 15 British pounds, my friend. Thank you for being here. We also have Jay Galt dropping $5 to say, the Black Dragon spoke of giants who swooped in and took over the divided drow. Can you ask the dragon if these giants wore tiny hats? No, they wore very large hats.
Oh, God.
Very
God,
large
giants
hats.
have large hats.
I, of
Where'd
course,
that
have no
question
idea
come
what he's
from?
referencing. I have no idea what he's referencing.
Big
of course,
hats
but no.
to hide those fat thunks.
Yeah.
No, the giants wore very large hats. Very large hats. So that is all of the Entropy chat for now, and I encourage everyone, if you want to donate to the channel, that is a very fun way to do it, and Entropy only takes a small cut of money. So we're going to get rolling here again, and I would appreciate Birdie or White Healing or any of the other mods that we have. Go ahead and drop those links again in the chat here in a little while to remind people. So, speaking of reminding people, I need to remind the party that we have 3 other topics. We have the Red Dragon shouting, eat the bitch, which is a play on eat the rich. We have Japartide, which is, of course, a play on the word apartheid. And Critical Race Table. Those are the 3 categories left. We also have 3 party members left to choose. So it's going to be between Wes, 3 of 12, and Bill. So here we go. We're going to roll us a D3, which is half of a D6. And that is number 2. Number 2. Was that a Wes or was that a 3?
That was 312.
Me.
3 of 12. Which of these 3 topics left would you like us to address next, my friend?
Eat the bitch, obviously.
Oh. Well, you're in for it.
Perpetually horny.
Give me just a moment.
I love the absolute non-existence of the of hesitation there.
I am functioning on 4 hours of sleep. There will be no hesitation.
I just love how
Very
perfect that is. Where like the Red Dragon is just open mouth screaming, just eat the bitch.
All right. Well,
I think
here we go.
We're thinking different thoughts, though.
All right. Here we go.
Please, in your speech a few times. So what is your
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
what is your main concern? Since, I mean, honestly, the whole reason police, I mean, it is systemic. The issue is systemic because the whole reason we have police departments in the first place, where did it stem from? What's our history? Going back to what Jeremy was talking about, what does it stem from? It stems from people in the South wanting to capture runaway slaves.
Because police never existed before then.
Yeah, and there's no such concept of police beforehand, right?
So I
this guy,
with
that ginger is such a simp, by the
Jeremy
way.
said about it because I think cops are heroes and they have to.
I'm ashamed to share a haircut.
All of them.
Wait, let's listen to this. Just listen.
I'd say a good majority.
I need to back that up a
have
second.
bad people.
She's not only wrong; she's cutting it off.
So I disagree with what Jeremy said about it because I think cops are heroes and they have to have a difficult job, but we have to have that
all of
fine
them.
Life. Oh, I'm not. I mean, I'd say
I hate her smug face.
Have bad people in every business and every
Yeah,
part.
Yeah,
well,
a lot of police officers have committed atrocious crimes and have gotten away with it and have never been convicted of any of it. And I say this as a person who has family members who are police officers.
Yes, I understand.
Oh, I see the problem here.
And this is what I believe. This is my opinion. And this is, not popular to say, but I do support our police and we have bad people. And the people that do bad things should be brought to justice. I agree with that. But I think that, say it again.
They haven't.
Well, I agree with you on that point of they should, right?
Okay, so what is your bottom line point? You're saying police officers should be revered, viewed as heroes? They belong on TV shows with children?
I think they are heroes in a sense because they come to your need and they come and help you. And they have problems just like every other business, but we should fix that. But I think they're heroes. Well,
I think that's the problem, is looking at it as a business. Because they're actually supposed to protect and
Marxist confirmed.
people.
They do protect us. Who do we call when we're in trouble and someone has a knife or a gun?
I wouldn't call the police.
Why wouldn't you call the police?
I don't trust them. My life's in more danger.
Who would you call?
In their presence.
Professor, who would you call?
I wouldn't call anybody.
Then
what would you have? If someone intruded your house with a gun, what would you have a gun on you, or who would you call?
It's my time to go.
It's your time to go.
Okay.
And then she cuts him off and kills his feed, and there's no more of that.
What a surprise. Half a set of eyebrows, half an argument.
So, here we go.
Just utter fatalism. I don't trust him, so I'll just accept death.
Hush. Save it for a minute. All right. Today we are joined by the same noble Red from a few weeks ago, and he wanted to get the party's opinion on this absolute travesty of education. In his world, the scholars are men and women of great prestige, honor, and wisdom. And according to him, this woman isn't honorable or intelligent enough to even be called a snake, let alone a scholar. He asks if scholars of our world are often this repugnant, or if, like many honorable titles, it has been ruined by our world's forces of oblivion. To him, if a woman claimed to be a scholar of speech and communication, and for those of you that haven't read the article, that's what she is an adjunct professor of.
Oh, no, really?
She is an adjunct professor of speech and communication. Yes.
She's an adjunct professor in speech and communication, and she's cutting off her students.
Yes, save it. Speaking of cutting off, save it. If a woman claimed to be a scholar of speech and communication, but was this blatant of a hack fraud, he would not only be honor-bound, but delighted to eat her publicly, to make an example for all would-be pretenders who would besmirch the title of scholar. Now, while he knows our society does not support such acts of violence, he has hopes for our people yet. He asks if the party thinks that this woman and those like her will be destroyed as the invaders and corruptors they are, or if this is a symptom that the forces of Nihil are, or if this is a symptom that the forces of Nihil are winning and have changed the nature of what a scholar is. Also, finally, he thinks that this woman would taste terrible. Now, I don't know if that's the translation spell or not, but he's laughing loudly. So perhaps the translation spell, that last part was a joke to a dragon. So anyway, thoughts, comments, discuss.
Oh, can I go first? Because I didn't know she was a professor of communication.
She is an adjunct. According to what I read about her, she is this is at, it starts with a C. It's Colliery College, or it's in California. It's in Southern California. Big surprise. And she's an adjunct professor of communications and speech.
Okay, so people might not know, but my background is in communication. from everywhere up from the undergraduate to doctoral level. So I'm particularly irritated. However, I can probably add a little bit of nuanced information to the dragon that can explain what this woman is that other people might not be aware of. Within academia in general, but particularly within the social sciences, or let's say exclusively within the social sciences, we have 3 different types of ways that we approach things. We have quantitative, qualitative, and critical cultural. Communication scholarship is a very unique field because it draws from all different everything. It draws from market research, it draws from psychology, it draws from sociology, and unfortunately it draws from critical cultural research, which probably other people would be more familiar with as me just calling it like SJW nonsense. So critical cultural research, which is what this woman's talking about, because first of all, I can't believe this is a professor just from the way she speaks to her class. It's absolutely unprofessional. And as an adjunct, I mean, maybe I can understand that, but still ridiculous. The smug way she reacts to the fact that one of her students would dare speak back against her is really infuriating. Because, yeah, that's not creating a very healthy classroom environment there. However, why is this woman the way that she is? And is she representative of academe at large? No, she is representative of a very, very specific subsection of academe that I'm going to call and refer to again as critical cultural research. And
let me pause you right there.
Yeah,
I pulled up the article. I pulled up the article about this, and she is an adjunct professor at the California College. And she is a professor of communications and speech. And it is from, let me see, I'm trying to find.
Is it communications with an S? That's a big deal. Is it communications spelled with an S? Oh, okay. So she's a journalist major,
Cypress
actually.
College. It's a Cypress College. So she is definitely part of she is a product of bioleninism, the long march through the institutions plus bioleninism. That's what she is a product of, yes.
Here's
I just wanted to pull this up for you and show you that she definitely is adjunct professor of communications, and she is at Cypress College in California.
Here's a big thing to pay attention to. Whenever you see someone who is, it has the word communication in terms of what they do in academe, there's a big difference between communication or communications with an S. Communications with an S means a journalism degree. Communication, sans the S, means usually quantitative research.
So she's clearly the former.
She is a journalist, she's a journalist teacher. That's what she is, which explains everything. But back to my point, no, this is not representative of everyone within academe, and I can, speak both from some of my observable experiences as well as from
the dragon
database.
clacked his powerful jaws, and he's glad to hear that all of our scholars are not these edible snakes.
No, they're not. They are not. And in fact, it's very funny when I would go to the conventions in my field, and you could see the crit cult people, and crit cult is a good name for them too, move in pods because they're usually also very overweight.
That was a whale joke. That was a whale joke.
And they had brightly colored hair, and they would all just go in like a pod with one another from one critical cultural panel to the next, and they wouldn't come to our quantitative panels. They don't want to hear actual data and science because you have to understand these people don't think there is such a thing as objectivity. Now, they are a very small subsection of academe. However, they are the loudest because the rest of us, generally speaking, want to just identify reality or understand reality and publish it in our paper, in our journals.
As opposed to these assholes who want to weave reality. They want to create one. Right.
Yes, they want to weave reality. They want to change reality. We just want to understand it.
And I guess more specifically to how I call them the forces of nihil and unmaking, they want to unweave reality, I guess is a better way to put it.
Right, exactly. And the difference is that we take our data, first of all, we conduct studies, and then we publish them in journals, and we don't go doing stuff like this. We don't tell students to shut up. We don't go on to news shows and proselytize to others or write articles for whatever left-leaning outlet. And that is the problem with the social sciences more than any other science, is that the majority of scientists in the social sciences are still scientists first and foremost. We are just constantly browbeaten down by the fact that these people scream loud, and we don't. So,
well, the dragon's glad to hear that. Now, not to cut you off, but 3,
Oh,
I know
I'm
that
done.
you had a particular revelation while we were watching that. When the woman said she had police in her family, would you like to illuminate what you were thinking of? Because I think I already know where you're going with this.
Yes, that she's upset that the fact that family members are cops and they've told her off for the shit that she's flung over the years. I mean, she probably has they've probably disowned her more or less because of the way that she treats people in her family, and she's just butthurt about it.
Anyone else have anything to chime in about this?
But would anyone else like? Go ahead, Jim.
I was just going to say, as is usually the case, it seems as though Aydin has summed up a wide variety of points in a very timely and succinct manner.
Oh, she's great at that. We had a wonderful time Friday.
And I thought I was good at making things concise.
Well, I mean, she does have a career of doing that. She's been at it for a while.
Facts and logic, they come and they don't stop coming.
That's right. So, Bill, Wes, anything you guys want to throw in about this?
Just
Bill?
our scaly friend here to know that, yes, unfortunately, it seems that priests are the flavor of the day these days.
Indeed.
We can't get rid of the buggers.
Priests, by the way, are actually what I based my my speaking points about the forces of Nihil and unmaking. I actually based that on the priests because I've been studying D&D stuff since I was a little kid. I started in the 80s. So the priests, for those listening and know my usual speaking points, that was actually where I got the concept of calling these anti-white, anti-Western agenda people the forces of unmaking, the forces of Nihil, the dark gods like Tharizdun and the others that just want to destroy everything.
I'm just going to show being a true namer is a thankless job, unfortunately.
Indeed it is.
So you can get enough bluff skill, you can get anywhere in life these days.
Yeah.
Can I just point out the guy, the guy who's making the assist for the professor, who looks like palette swapped Quentin reviews. Who's every now and then it's every other blink I see him. It's just god.
Yeah, that ginger guy. He's like he's like the degenerate soy brother of Atheism is Unstoppable.
But he just deeply wants her attention. That's all it is. He wants to be teacher's pet.
Well, yeah. He's the snivelly guy from Recess who reports on everything.
Yeah. That
He's Randall crossed with Quentin reviews.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to make two points concerning this. One,
the dragon remembers you, by the way. He appreciated your input last time.
Oh yeah, no, we homies. We go back. So 2 things. One, Aydin makes a very good point. I went in. I went in among other things. Spent way too much time in college myself, studying social psychology, socioeconomics, stuff like that. Our Lord and Savior Yuri Bezmenov, peace be upon him.
Yes,
peace be upon him.
Peace be upon him.
He warned us about this. He warned us about this in the 80s.
That he did.
Infiltrating through academia, destroying religion, going after the police.
Destroying the family, too. That was a big one.
Of course. He warned us this was happening, and we didn't listen to him because for whatever reason. Despite the fact that he was experienced KGB agent specializing in demoralization, we were like, no, that's not gonna happen. And bless that beglassed man. He very patiently told us everything that we needed to know, and at least we're listening now. But there's professors like this. I'm not surprised. I came across a couple in my time, and I told him to go spit, Riggs. Like it
Nice reference.
I got kicked out more than a couple of of classes because of it, because I could not stand that self-righteousness, and I didn't know what it was before, but I know what it is now. It's that it is this the normally what someone does is someone starts with an idea and they try to find the evidence that exists outside of it, and then once they gather all available evidence, they come to a conclusion, but instead all of these people, they start with the conclusion and they try to find all the evidence that supports their conclusion, ignoring everything else.
Yep.
And then they make it that, and like I don't know how much you guys have been paying attention to Mythicist Milwaukee this year, but
Oh yeah.
they did a thing. Sean from Actual Justice Warrior and John Doyle and a couple people did this panel, and it was so revealing because you had an expert on law. You had John Doyle, take him or leave him. He is what he is, and he is very much who he is. An Actual Justice Warrior, a person who has experience in crime statistics and law and stuff like that. And then on the opposite side, you have this person, this living embodiment of the result of modern academia. And there were times when I couldn't even understand the language that she was saying.
Yep.
That's called jargon. And it's done. I will say it's not entirely intentional.
Jargon was you talked about jargon in the video you mentioned earlier. I remember.
Yeah. I talk about it a lot. And one of the problems with, if you watch any of my videos, they're kind of full of jargon, but I try to explain what the jargon is. Academics speak their own language. At some point, I will say it's not intentional. We just get so used to talking to other academics and reading academic research that it sometimes becomes difficult to not use the jargon.
Yeah, but I would make the argument that it is.
In their minor defense.
I would make the argument, Aydin, that it is at least a little on purpose. Because remember, if you control the words, you control the thoughts.
Yep. I bring that point up a lot on my channel. It's very true. That's why language is important.
And I make it a point to try my best to bring my thoughts into words in the most relatable way possible. I try my best not to use big words. I try my best to simplify my thoughts, to not use the academic language. I go out of my way to not do that. And the thing is, they during this Mythicist Milwaukee thing, they couldn't even come to the base. They couldn't even come to the base agreement. The very mentality that this person was working off of, because it was whether or not we should end the police, etc., etc. That is not necessarily. It does apply to what we're talking about, but she could not even comprehend the fact that they were coming from a position that the police are not systematically racist and are targeting black people on a systemic level, because the gathered data and reality does not match with her mentality. So she could not comprehend that. And John Doyle said something very interesting. He said studies are fake, and she could not get her head around it.
They're critical cultural theorists again,
which they are.
But that's what you have to understand about critical cultural theorists. Their primary basis of which they conducted their research is that all reality is subjective. So one person's experience means more than any kind of statistical analysis.
No. Sounds like something an herb priest would say. What do you think, Bill?
Oh no, we're going down the postmodernist rabbit hole.
But that's what it is. That's what
the lived truth. This is my truth. This is my reality. I cannot stand that. I have ranted and raved against the postmodernist mindset because I like art. I like postmodernism when it comes to an artistic perspective.
But don't say that.
Applying it to reality, no.
Well, the dragon thanks everyone for their input, and he has hope that we're going to get through this, and that we will one day, in his words, he says eat, but replace and conquer these filthy herb priests that have commandeered the scholar title. So
again, my only last word on that is please be aware that these crazy people are the minority in academe. The rest either are too busy working or too afraid to open their mouths.
Oh, he understands that. He got it. He got it.
I mean, for him and for the audience.
Well, with that being said, we are behind schedule. We still have two dragons to take care of, I believe. We still have two.
I didn't know she was a communication scholar because that one, or communications.
Yeah, that was
set me off.
That was peak hilarity. So we have two left. We have the white dragon with Jabpartide and the blue dragon with critical race table. And we have two people left to pick a topic. And those two people are Wes and Ginger. So between the two of you, it's Wes. Between
I have picked a topic, by the way.
Oh, you did? Oh,
I think Bill hasn't.
Was it Wes and Bill? Okay,
Bill
sorry.
hasn't.
Between Wes and Bill, I rolled for Wes. So Wes, there are two topics left: Jabpartide and critical race table. Well, which one would you like to address?
I would like to do something unprecedented.
Oh, okay, let's do it.
In Discordant and Dragons history, and I would like to be the gentleman that I am, and I will hand this over to Bill. This is his first time here.
Oh, he defers to Bill.
This is his first time here, and I believe it is the gentlemanly thing to do to allow Bill to choose critical race table.
Well, that's wonderful.
You choose whichever one you want.
You knows me too well already.
So Bill, between Jabpartide and critical race table, which one's it going to be?
The 3 total people in the world who actually know my show know that I'm a very big fan of tables, so I will go with critical race table.
All right.
Maybe 10,000, but it'll do.
He's going to roll a D10,000 to roll on the warp chart for this one.
You're too much.
All right. Today, courtesy Babylon B, Dungeons and Dragons introduces new 100-sided die for determining your character's gender.
What
is the D10,000?
Let's just take a moment.
10,000.
Let's take a moment and
I smell weakness here.
and admire. Let's take a moment and admire this horrible,
It's
horrible
just a ball
thing.
with extra steps.
Yeah.
All right. In a bold move for inclusivity, Wizards of the Coast announced today that all copies of D&D Starter Set will include a special D100 for determining your character's gender. Not sure if your half-orc paladin is a demi-boy or an agender? Just roll this handy new die, said WotC Rep. It makes character creation fast, fun, and streamlined.
I
And
don't think it makes
worry.
it fast or fun. Okay.
Don't
It's
worry.
not fast.
If you don't like your gender, just roll again. No questions asked. In
What's
fact,
the point?
you can do that at any point
the
during the
point?
game without even consulting the DM. You can change at any time.
Oh, now this is pod racing. Let's fucking go.
Oh, yes. All right. Now, the blue who joins us today is a wise old sorcerer. She understands satire and comedy of mankind. And while she is keeping what connection to humanoid kingdoms she has private, she wants us to know that she has worked with many different types of humanoids. She wants to know if the party thinks comedy and satire of this nature are going to help the old guard of humans in their ideological war against this new guard of what she calls progressivism. She finds this culture war fascinating, since the old guard seems more successful in mimetic warfare, and she wants to hear our thoughts about using comedy and entertainment, since the assembled party seems to mostly be on one side of this conflict.
Wait, so that was satire? Because I would buy that from Wizards of the
Babylon
Coast.
B.
It's Babylon B. That was definitely
this-
satire.
Oh,
About combat
Yes,
wheelchairs.
But hang
See,
on.
that's-
Babylon B keeps being right. So
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
that
they-
article's
they
only a
do
couple
seem
weeks
to be
old, so who
riding-
knows? Who knows?
I mean,
They do seem to be riding a very fine line between comedy, satire, and prophetic predictions.
We're going to have to rename Pose Law to Pose Razor at this point.
yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, I would like to comment on the fact that a bardic law drake, I now have seen it all. Second of all, yes, definitely. The use of satire to kind of inoculate to the old guard, so to speak, to these new masses, definitely key. But good grief, this one, this is too close to home.
I know, right? I thought that would be a perfect article for
Everything's
this show.
TSR sold it off. Good grief. The combat wheelchairs really did fucking break me.
Well,
I know, right?
they've
Combat
done all kinds
wheelchairs,
of.
man. That's messed up.
Oh, the combat wheelchairs, yeah.
Yeah.
And they've done stuff. They've been doing stuff like this increasingly.
But to be fair, that was Pathfinder, wasn't it?
Well,
No,
I don't.
that was D&D
Oh, that
fifth.
was WotC. That was Wizards of the Coast.
Yep.
Oh, okay. My
was
bad.
Wheelchair
Pathfinder-
accessible dungeons.
Was it Pathfinder or D&D that had the consent form, Bill? Do you recall?
No, I
that was
don't
D&D.
remember.
That was D&D. So yeah, they put that out.
It was implicit, but
Yeah.
I couldn't get away with it because there were too many hillbilly fucking ogres.
But it's the same thing where it's like, I don't know if you recall this, Yizz or anyone else here, that a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, they put out a consent form of the things that you would be okay with happening in the campaign. And on some level, Bill and I did a stream on this when it happened. And on some level, I can understand that if, let's say, you are a legitimate rape survivor, right? And you don't want to have that brought up in your game. However, the idea that you have to say, here's my huge checklist of all the things that I would be okay with experiencing.
Araman in the chat said the consent form was Vampire the Masquerade, the New World of
But,
Darkness
that
cover.
was
Yes,
the
it
first
was
time it was
thank
in
you.
a
It was
rule
rape.
book.
But if there was
person
legitimate rape,
private.
you'd have a baby.
Okay, yeah, I do remember. Yeah, that was Vampire. Thank you. But like, the whole idea of what makes role-playing games fun, and Bill obviously has far more to say about this, I'm sure, than I would, is that being a DM and an excellent one at that, if I do say so myself, that if characters or player characters know what's going to happen to them, it takes out all of the fun of playing the game. And it's the same thing with this. This concept, and then we can get into the more serious political implications of the Babylon Bee article, but it does relate into real things that are happening with TTRPGs. Is that if it's even extending into a fictional role play setting where you're supposed to be having fun, and you're supposed to be role playing as a person that you're not, and these people want to have all basic choice taken out of it because the world, even a fantasy world, is so scary to them they can't even embody themselves in a fictional reality for a few minutes for the purpose of having fun, then we've become so freaking weak as a society that I don't know where this is going. We can't even have fun anymore.
Well, I'm saying, if you can't drop
yeah.
12k for the hat of greater disguise, then you don't deserve to have legs. What did I say on the matter?
Is that how much the wheelchair cost? 12K?
No, 12k is the price of a great hat of disguise, which is alter self at will. I can be whatever the fuck I like.
Okay.
I'm male now. I'm female now. I can do what the fuck I like. 12k. It's worth the value. Plus 2 strength as well.
So back on topic with the dragon. He wanted you guys to elaborate if there is going to be some type of eventual victory with the old guard, since we seem to be the proverbial masters of this mimetic warfare. Now, Wes mentioned it a little bit earlier about how things are changing because of what's going on in the zeitgeist of communications and stuff.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that Critical Role was a mistake and
Yes.
deserves a nuke.
Yes.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, it's Critical Role and Matthew Colville, and yes, I'm calling him out. Fight me, nerd. But seriously, man, like it's folk like this that to answer your question, Aydin, where does this end? Why does this happen? Stuff like that. Again, you control words. Our Lord and Savior Yuri Bezmenov, peace be upon him, he said that everything has to be political. Everything. Politics has to be injected into everything in our society so that the state can run everything.
Yep, that's the goal. And now I know this is not on topic with the dragon, but I do think that a big part of this defund the police, make people hate the police, chase everybody who cares and who wants to be police out of these cities. I think this is a power play by the people who want the federal government to supersede everything, because if the cities begin to collapse, then the federal government can say, hey, you're not keeping law and order. Here come the federal police. Here comes the New World Order super cops. Here comes the Judge Dreads. They're going to come in with federal money and, of course, protected like Blackwater. They're going to be shell companies. They're going to be major corporations because they're beholden to no one. And those are going to be the police of the future, just like in Shadowrun, just like in Cyberpunk, just like in all the dystopian stuff that we've read growing up. I think that's the goal of the NWO, is to destroy local law enforcement to make way for mercenary-style federal law enforcement. That's what I think.
Exactly.
Anyway.
And stay inside, citizen, or else you'll get the coof.
Out
also,
with the cops and in with Lone Star, equally as mediocre.
Again, bringing up Yuri again. He said he literally used destruction of the police as his example of the start of Crisis. Like the demonization and destabilization of the police. That is the start of the example that he gave for Crisis, which is the second to last stage, right before normalization. Which, by the way, new normal.
Right. This is the new normal.
I hate that phrase so
I hate that
badly.
phrase too. I really do hate that phrase.
That's to bring it, and you brought up a good point with like Judge Dredd and the judges and stuff like that. They want to replace cops with commissars, with political officers to keep people, again, politics, political, keep everything political.
Well, the only
It's about
upside of
keeping
that,
the peace. It's about keeping the paradigm.
the only
Well
the
said.
only silver
Yeah,
lining
well said, Bill.
that they're
Go
going
ahead,
to
3.
be, the only silver lining of any of that is that the people that they're going to replace the police with are incompetent. Like the Pastor Lou, the Val was talking about just a week ago at this point, I think. He did a stream with Sargon, I think. I don't know if it was on that stream. Yeah, it was. It was on the stream with Sargon. That they were talking about this sort of topic and the various things that they're going to do to make this happen. One of the things was the fact that the good cops are quitting in droves means that they can be replaced with the incompetent commissars. The thing is, these are people who they're not ideologically motivated. They're only in it for the paycheck, or even Gibbs at a point. So,
Well, they're
even
military
more- or even
contractors.
more-
yeah,
sorry,
they're-
Aydin, but I was
no,
gonna say,
they're
I am very
They're
familiar with-
paramilitary organizations.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like why Lockheed Martin walks around with their LGBT flags.
I
You
know.
know, they
I
want to
know.
be part of it.
I know, but look at the Metropolitan Police. They're the best example of this. They're just an upscaled security outfit. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
I
Like,
used to work
I do believe that the cyberpunk we read about and saw in movies, 70s, 80s, and 90s, I think those people were prophets. They saw what was coming.
the good news is they're not going to be competent. The contract.
I disagree, 3. I disagree completely, because the people who are incompetent, they're just like how when you have the communist rabble cause a revolution, they get gulagged and shot when the real people with power come in to take
Exactly.
control.
Well,
So
certainly.
all these rabble, all of these shit cops, all of these local idiots that are going to be in office and stuff, when push comes to shove and the corporate overlords want to replace them with competent people that are on the payroll, they're going to be ousted or killed immediately. And then the people with real power, the real professionals, are going to be installed. That's what I think that the end goal is with this.
I would like to say one more thing to bring it all back around to Dungeons and Dragons.
Let's do it.
Much like in the dragon asks, what are we going to do? How can we take it back? All of that good stuff. And I usually like to respond with, we keep doing our thing, homie.
Oh, yeah.
The D&D game I'm playing with Uzlu and Ginger here and all that, that D&D game, we use Pathfinder. Modified slightly to our needs, but we use Pathfinder,
Yeah.
The only, again, this is 2 for this stream, talking about Star Trek,
Oh boy.
Star Trek Discovery.
Put money in the pot. Wes brought up Star Trek.
Star Trek Discovery is horrible, and Picard is insulting, and all this stuff. Hey, you know what still exists? Original series, Deep Space Nine, Next Gen.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
hell, even Enterprise still exists. Even Star Trek 5 still exists.
Oh.
Well,
funnel
for sake
frontier,
of
by
time,
Hey,
for
let's
sake
not,
of time, we got to wrap
don't be
this up.
too
for
harsh
sake of
on Enterprise.
Sorry, yeah, let's move into the.
we still have another dragon to go and the treasure to get through, so we need to get moving here. The final dragon. Oh, by the way, the blue dragon appreciated all the stories and candor, and she says that she'll come back again one day. So we're gonna move on. Now, the last topic is Jabpartide from the white dragon. Jabpartide. So, rants. Washington Department of Health lets providers deny vaccines to white people for equity. The Washington State Department of Health lets providers deny vaccines to white people in a race exclusionary system that they claim creates equity and removes barriers. The African American Reach and Teach Health Ministry, yes, it has the word ministry in the name, is a vaccine provider in Washington State. Eligible recipients can sign up for vaccines using their online scheduler, but if you're white, you don't have access to open any vaccine appointments.
So it creates barriers.
Good God.
I mean, to be fair, this is in Seattle, isn't it? Or it's in Washington State. Is it
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, someone needs to go and find JFK's grave and plug it into the grid, because the rate at which he is rolling could be used to solve all of free energy
The whistling from hole.
I gotta put the kibosh on chat. Silence. We have to move on. This is the white dragon. He is a venerable lord of men, warrior, and he's a venerable lord of men, warriors, and scholars, and he has helped 5 generations of nomadic barbarian humans become the most advanced civilization in his tundra realm. He recognizes a similarity in America and the kingdom he shepherds. The clans of barbarian tribes were once at odds, but the perpetuation of tribal feuds was due to the noble families. They used a mix of historical lies, inflaming tribal tensions, and disrupting trade to keep the tribes at each other's throats. The tribal tensions were lessened once the warrior tribes learned what was happening, largely because the nobles became stupid and sloppy. He asks, is this what is happening in our lands here? Will the different tribes of our lands see what's happening and band together against the manipulative nobles? He is curious what we think and if the outcome will be because of such obvious meddling by those in power.
Oh, I would say that I think that appears to be the inevitable outcome is the balkanization of the United States. I mean, Texas is barreling quickly towards that reality.
I live in Tennessee. I'm just barely on the Tennessee side here at the Virginia line. And a lot of people in Southern Virginia and East Tennessee here in the mountains, there are people at church, people at gun clubs, people around here are all wanting secession. Everybody.
I mean, like, Virginia is an interesting sort of case study, actually, because all of Virginia would rather be back a part of West Virginia, except for Nord VA, which is just DC plus. So, this is the case with states all over the country. You have these hyper localized blue cities, and then states that surround them where the people just disagree fundamentally on everything.
And the people in these blue cities oftentimes actively hate the people in their state.
Yeah, Michigan's an excellent example. You've got Detroit surrounded by a state with one of the highest number of militias in the country. And like right-wing militia men and gun owners, and then Detroit, which basically controls the entirety of the way the state votes.
The wise old white dragon says that he wanted to remind you that in his many generations of stewarding these barbarians to be where they were, the nobility was primarily of a caste of desert merchants, which came from a faraway land long ago, and they intermarried into the noble tribes. And once the warrior tribes of the barbarians realized that it was not in their best interest to keep listening to these liars, that's when the entire narrative that they had woven fell apart, and the rightful heirs to the land, he was able to lead to a glorious era of reclamation and redemption. So,
I don't know about the desert peoples.
All I shall say is that the Tianjia and the Rokugani had the right idea in making the merchant caste literally the lowest rung in society.
I've often said that too. In reality, that we should stop the capitalistic lie of money and success and that kind of thing being lauded as a social pinnacle when it should be the social. It should be sort of like how things are subsidized when they're so ubiquitous. I think that's more how we should view it socially, of trade and money and stuff. It should be not at all lauded above or as something to aspire to like it is. I think that's very ugly.
I mean, what a person does with the downtime is up to them, but be that as it may. The important thing here is the matter at hand. And at this present point, like, just reconciling everything, really.
I don't know if there is reconciliation for a country like the United States that is as divided as it is, and you have to understand that the United States, of course, is a confederation of states. Those states all have individual agency. And
well, the dragon says that's how the barbarian tribes were too. They were even different in what we would call race, but they unified against their tormentors and oppressors. And from that, in just 5 generations, he was able to unify them together to create the most advanced civilization in that region. And he wonders if we believe that will happen here in these United States with the different tribes that we have.
I think it's possible.
I feel like balkanization is a crude term. I feel like balkanization infers it's a negative context. I think what we're dealing with is decentralization, something we haven't dealt with since the Civil War. Because prior to the Civil War, the actual like power within the United States was far more decentralized. It was state level.
Yes.
And since the Civil War, that things have been centralized within DC.
That was the issue with the Civil War, and people forget because it's very easy to just say the Civil War was about slavery. Yes, but it was also about states' rights. Now, one of the states' rights they wanted to enforce was the right to enact slavery, but as terrible as that is,
but keep in mind it was the ruling elite and the desert lord merchants that were the big proponents of slavery. Not the regular rank and file people that lived in this.
I know 3%, I believe, of people in the South own slaves. So,
majority of people couldn't afford a slave. It's incredibly expensive to get into the slavery gig.
It was more than just state rights. It was that the Supreme Court essentially took away protections that the Constitution gave to these people without any input from the other branches of government whatsoever.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's almost like, Aydin, you did say it before I could, but yeah, it's almost like we fought a war for this before.
Yeah, and we don't use the term Civil War around here for that. I put that
War of Northern Aggression.
It was the War of Northern Aggression, or or it was the secession war between the two groups of the United States. You can either call it a secession war or the War of Northern Aggression. Those are both acceptable on my channel.
I certainly grew up with the latter. So
the secession war. Important note here is that in all manners of war, the core concept behind all warfare is the first law, which is the law of the moral law. You have to have justification for a military action.
Yes.
Without it, everything falls apart. That's the first. Before weather, before terrain, before anything under the sun, moral law is the first axiom of warfare, as under the sun. So if you can justify what you did, you can get away with anything under the sun. And well, saying it's to prevent slavery, it's a pretty strong moral law.
Yes. And that was, of course, weaponized by the North.
Yes, and that's the way it's been presented post facto, of course, when in reality, slavery was legal in most of the North as well. So it was not a grand moral law, but, as always, the victors write history. So it was depicted more as the North decided that slavery was bad and they wanted to give Black people rights, when that was not the case. Don't get that twisted. There was just as much racism in the North as there was in the South. Yeah. Anti-Black sentiment or whatever you think is the most apropos term. But it wasn't some great fight against slavery in the way that it's portrayed. It was a fight of states' rights, first and foremost. The federal government wanted to take over the South.
The White Dragon, the mentor of these barbarian tribes, he thanks us for our time and our input and says he will definitely return again one day because he's enjoyed our candor and our wisdom. So anything else anybody wants to say to him before he departs and we have words with the council?
Oh no, I'm all right. It's just
All right.
y'all know my thoughts pretty much on
May the
most of these
spaghetti
things.
monster in the sky have
I
mercy.
couldn't hear you three. Say again.
May the spaghetti monster in the sky have mercy on our souls.
I think
Well-
we can all agree that we all wish the illustrious White Dragon the best of luck on his next hunt.
You know what? I will say one thing.
Please do.
Bill, you brought up Sun Tzu, but I like the mentality of Machiavelli more when it comes to war, especially concerning issues like this. Which I can't remember the exact quote, but basically, the mentality when it comes to conflict that Machiavelli gave as advice to young princes back in the Renaissance was that if your neighbors are warring, staying neutral is suicide. Because eventually the victor will come for you.
Very true.
He always promoted choosing a side, even if the results are joining the losing side. Because, to quote the great Captain Malcolm Reynolds, may have been the losing side, still not convinced it was the wrong one.
Very well said. Very well said. So with that, the White Dragon bids us adieu, and we will talk to him another time. Now, I have great news for everyone. Good news, everyone.
Good news, everyone.
I love it when you do that voice. You're really good at it. The council is very pleased with us, especially because we had several illustrious dragon guests who are higher ranking in the council. And so we get an enormous treasure trove today. And of course, the treasure trove always comes in the form of white pilling articles, funny memes, and cute videos at the end. So without further ado, the thing we're going to move to first is a white pilling article, which is also going to dovetail nicely into a meme. So to start off the treasure trove tonight, Daniela Macari, medical technology project manager at automation company Franca Emica, demonstrates a COVID swab test conducted by a robot. And now that dovetails immediately into the meme that I made.
Oh, God.
I was about to say, I swear to God, that image looks like it's been cut and edited from a porn.
Yeah.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
Yeah, all of these memes. Good one. These memes were already extant. I just edited them together. This is not my original work. I never like to take credit for original work that I didn't do. I assembled this for stream format today. Now, moving on, we have more memes in the treasure trove. Next. Up in your grill. Cut 90% of red meat from your diet. Max 4 pounds per year, 1 burger a month. Miss me yet, guys?
I was told, by the way, that Fox News thing was fake. I posted it on Twitter, and all the lefties got really mad at me. They're like, "That's for Fox News. It's not real." And it's like, then I went and fact checked, and it's like, wait, everyone's reported on this. You just are angry. It's a Fox News screenshot.
Oh, of course.
And then it was.
Boys are.
This was the fascinating thing: is that I watched them move positions in real time. So first it was, that's not real, it's fake, it's doctored, and then to, it's fake because it's from Fox News, and then into, it's just a proposal, Aydin. It's not real.
No.
It's just a proposal from the leader of the free world. Why would you take it
have-
seriously?
We have to keep moving. We got a lot of treasure.
Sorry.
We got a lot of treasure.
He already believes he does not.
Next one. This is for the Pokemon fans.
Yep.
I was watching Joshua Graham memes this evening. How appropriate.
Pika
You can't
Pika.
expect
We
God
can't
to
expect God to do all the work. Oh.
Making war with good people is bad for the soul. How appropriate that our enemy denies us that effort.
Another fictional character that I relate to way too much.
Joshua Graham is one of the best characters in the whole of the Fallout franchise, I must admit.
Absolutely.
Jeez.
All right.
If not the best.
We only got 20 minutes. We got to go. All right. The next bit of treasure is from the Babylon Bee again. CDC now recommends wearing 2 seatbelts, even when you're outside the car.
Obviously.
Well, yeah, that's a Sam Brown. That's officers of accoutrement, no matter where you are.
This next one's great. You guys are gonna like this next one. The world record for biggest gender reveal party was in 1945 when Japan found out the United States had a little boy.
The invention of the right.
Jesus Christ.
2 nukes weren't enough.
No.
Oh, that's mean. I like Japan.
Hey.
Leave Japan alone.
No, hey,
Hey,
sorry,
guys.
Have you seen anime? 2
Yeah.
nukes weren't enough.
いや、確かに日本がだけでもさ、
Imagine
日本語は悪い。日本は悪い。
Les, consider the following.
おめはもう
Two nukes caused anime. What would result from more?
Yes, exactly. That's what I was trying to say.
On the note, Russia recently banned Konosuba from being viewed.
What?
Yeah, they banned
Why?
Isekai because it was they phrased it as encouraging suicide.
I would like to just
unrelated
remind
note.
everyone of something on the
You know
screen
what?
here. Before you poo-poo Japan any further,
Yeah.
I'd like to remind you of this.
Yeah. No. You are correct. You are correct. Is they treated communists right over in Japan.
They
Sure
there,
did.
there was a based Jap that knew what to do with the commie. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Fear of Kamen Rider is a hell of a thing, isn't it?
That's right. All right, moving on with the treasure trove then. That was some bonus treasure I just whipped out there. Moving on. Marlboro in the front, Newport's in the back. Yeah, boy.
God.
Like
The old Dread Muley.
just dipping your Marlboros and Vicks Vapor up and calling it an evening.
Jesus Christ.
All right, we got 2 more memes here, and they're pretty spicy. So
Uh-oh.
make sure you got your beer or your soda handy.
Oh yeah.
Here's a good one.
Oh boy.
That's a very spicy boy.
Yes, why is the highest rank in the Sith the Grand Wizard?
How do you hold it?
Carefully.
I believe the answer is very whitely. I believe is how you hold it.
Extremely fucking carefully.
You will become my new exalted Cyclops Skywalker.
All right, moving on. This is perhaps the spiciest meme of the day. Is North Floyd. Love me fentanyl,
Yes.
love me drugs, love me robberies, love me slapping trigger slags, 8 cops, can't breathe, simple as.
Simple as.
Love me banana.
Love
I
me
like these
nanner,
in-
love dancing.
I'm
Love
glad
me
it's in
fake
front of the
money.
Gregs.
If he had to scarf down 3 sausage rolls in a single
He
sitting
does.
rather than a bag of
That's
fentanyl,
sad.
how lethal would it have been versus what you have?
I mean,
So
look
he-
at him. If he had swallowed 3 sausage rolls, he probably would have died of a heart attack either way.
The third sausage roll is immoral.
Why is my woodshop teacher in this meme? As what I have. Like, Mr.
Did
Slant,
he
I had no. It's been 15 years. I haven't seen you in so long.
Did he slip the shopkeep at the Greg's a fake 20-pound bill?
8 cops, can't simple as.
Sausage rolls
All
have
right.
been I've got to confiscate them.
Oh, this time on bomb gear.
So with nonce
Bill.
patrol scribbled out with COVID patrol scribbled
Well.
underneath in text.
We have 2 final pieces in the treasure trove, and they are magnificent today. One of them is a short meme video that I made this morning, and the second one is an old-timey cartoon clip, which you know I love. So which one do you want to do first? Do you want to finish with the 2 to 3 minute cartoon clip, or do you want to finish with the 20 to 30 second video that I made? I'll give you guys a choice.
Finish on the cartoon clip and
All right. Okay, well, end big with the cartoon clip. So coming up next then is a short meme that I made today, which I hope that you guys will all enjoy. It's called, Why Didn't He? Why Didn't He?
Went to his bedroom to say goodnight, and he was crying because of the abuse that was enduring in this school system.
Then why did you stay in Mexico?
Gentlemen, counter-song made manifest.
Oh yeah, based white dad is based, spitting that truth right in their faces.
There's Michael Ironside in the crowd here.
All right, we're gonna watch that one again. It's a short one, and I'm proud of it. We're gonna do it one more time.
Went to
That's
his
great.
Before you do,
bedroom
Yizz,
to say goodnight, and
I
Go ahead.
swear that man right there is Chinese, not Mexican.
Let's leave that alone. Let's go.
went to his bedroom to say goodnight, and he was crying because of the abuse that he was enduring in this school system.
Then why didn't you stay in Mexico?
Michael Ironside versus Paladin.
All right.
What did
Well,
you
that
say
was a
then, Bill?
meme video that I put together for us today. So if you guys want to leave me some love on that, I'm putting the link in the chat for you guys. And feel free to share that with your friends. Leave me a like and a comment. All right. Well, we have one final piece of treasure today. And I went mining this morning for a particular video or particular cartoon I remembered when I was little that came generations before me. And I found it. And before we start, I'm going to tell you the name of the cartoon. It's Scrub Me Mama with that boogie woogie beat.
Oh my God!
It took me a while to find it, but I found it.
I thought that thing had been completely memory hold.
No, I found it.
Wow.
Oh,
I found it, and here we go.
Well, this ought to be good.
This is your reward for doing so good with the dragons today. Enjoy.
Gold wood powder and intensified.
Listen, Mary, there ain't nowhere to wash clothes. What you all need is rhythm. What do you all mean, really? In Harlem, there's a little place where everyone goes to see the way a washerwoman washes her clothes. If you like boogie woogie rhythm, she's got a beat. Let the boogie woogie washerwoman give you a treat. On every afternoon, that's when the sessions begin, and all the boys from all the bands come down and sit in. They sit around and knock each other out when they play, while the boogie woogie washerwoman washes all day. Run me up,
Oh my god.
that's just the way she runs. Run me up, that's just the way she runs. Run me up,
Yes.
Oh my
Sweet
god. Oh my
mother.
god.
that's how she kicks it off. Run me up, she keeps the nonsense off. Run me up,
Piglet.
Rub me mama with the boogie beat. You really ought to visit there if you've never been. It doesn't cost a penny, just come down and walk in. If you
Yeah,
like
everyone
boogie
loves
woogie
that.
rhythm, you'll get a treat. Let the boogie woogie wash your woman give you a beat. Rub me up there!
Oh my god.
Rubbly up dub. She rubbed the knuckles right on down to the nub, yeah. And she keeps it nice and soft. Scrub me mama with a boogie beat. Rubbing all day.
She's so astonished.
This from this point forward.
Mama, rub me, mama, scrub me, mama, mama. Oh, how she'll get you with her rub the lip dub. She'll really play you with her rub the lip dub. Oh, fellas, come on down, there is a treat in store for you. There is nothing for you to do but let the boogie woogie wash the woman scrub you. Let the boogie woogie be. Rub the lip dub, rub the lip dub,
And they're going to play us out with an encore here.
I just want anyone who complains about like how everything is racist today to just watch this.
I just want the FTC to give me the frame data on this thing.
I mean, I like the music.
The music isn't bad.
And you know what? The attractive women actually look like attractive black women.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, they are, as they would say in the day, high yellow. To be fair.
Yeah.
Like they have the right facial structure and the right facial features.
Yeah, racism hasn't gotten any better in the last, I don't know, 60 years.
I told you about that word on my channel.
I know.
The rest is
Play us out there, Mama. Play us out.
They say
You guys are well. It took me about an hour of digging to find this one today. But,
I'm sure that this has been. They are trying to memory hold this
Say, how'd you find this on with a Ouija board?
And there you have it, everybody. There you have it. I hope you all enjoyed your treasure
Lord.
of Scrub Me Mama with that woogie woogie beat.
Woo, lad.
Well, before we do the outro, we're going to check chat one more time. We're going to see if anybody's left us last-minute donations here. We're going to refresh PayPal and Cash App and see what we got cooking over here. And Kizza, our other co-host, he had to do stuff with his family tonight, and he always donates regularly when he can over on Cash App. I always think of him over on Cash App. I hope you're having a good time with your family tonight, Kizza. And over on D-Live, we still have the same crew over there. Good to see you guys over there. Dan and Jim UK, Althea, Fornull. Speaking of Fornull, we're going to go over there to his channel soon. I'll be putting that link in the description here shortly. So we're going to round things out with some entropy. We have Jay Galt dropping us another US $5. He says, the White Dragon made me LMFAOTY. Well, YW, my friend, YW. Now, over on the question widget, we only have one thing to get through today. We have Vingtor. Vingtor's a regular around here, and he says, wouldn't the Fed Boy cops be just like, quote, Trump's fascist jackboots at the Portland courthouse? Or will these subverted idiots allow that to be memory hold too? Well,
it'll be fine because they're the ones doing it. It's not jackbooted when they do it. It doesn't matter if they're actually stepping on your rights and taking away all your freedoms.
It's a peaceful protest when they do it. And when we do it, it's literally the Nazis when we do it.
Yeah, I mean it's going back. Yeah, it's word games. It's all just word games. It's how things are framed in the media. Yep. And if they just say that this is that we need to, I mean, we're right. Wear your mask or else you're killing people. That's not any kind of obstruction on people's freedoms whatsoever. Hand over your guns. That's not a violation of your Second Amendment rights. That's just for safety. Give away your right to free speech because hate speech is literally murdering people, and people will actually give most of it away. Just
over on
comply.
Over on D-Live, I'd like to remind everybody that we are going to open the lemon chest. So for the 5 of you over there, get ready. I'm going to give it a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. That was to make up for the stream delay. So you've got 30 seconds to click on the old lemon chest to get your lemons over on D-Live. Thank you to Morty for being with us again over on Trovo. And now that PayPal finally refreshed, nothing new over on PayPal today. So we are at the part of the show to where I thank everybody for being here. And we're going to thank Aydin the most. You're high profile. You have a lot going on. We appreciate your time.
Oh, no.
And your beautiful mind for being here today. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
And Bill, thank you for showing up today and adding in your lovely voice and beautiful D&D lore knowledge that you have. So, Aydin, the links to all of your work is in the description below. I highly encourage you guys to go check out Aydin's work. Is there anything that you'd like to promote or talk about here at the end of the stream, Aydin?
No. One of the things that I said the other day, which is that the next video, which I'm about a fourth of the way through editing, will be on the idea of woke washing within brands. So brands that there used to be an idea that like brands shouldn't get themselves involved in politics. That's obviously not the case anymore. So the question is, does woke washing sell? The answer is no, but we'll go through the data. And then the question is, of course, why do they do it if it doesn't sell? I think I know the answer, but
yeah,
postulate.
Well, Wes, you have something new going on. Would you like to talk about your new thing? All of Wes's links are in the description below as well.
Oh yeah, I got the old MST3K channel. I have checked. Several of my episodes are better quality than the official Mystery Science Theater 3000 channel's episodes. So I don't know how the hell I pulled that off, but hey, there you go.
Well, good. Wes bringing you that high quality ripped content there. And of course, Wes is going to be doing a Star Trek review series over on his other channel, so definitely be sure to follow him for that.
Yes,
3 of 12, myself and others will likely be participating. Maybe even Aydin will want to jump in on it at some point too.
No, I think I'm going to pass out.
Okay, well, we are going to wrap up the stream here. Ginger and Deep One Bill, thank you for being here today. Thank you for co-hosting 3 of 12. I would like to invite everyone to come over to 4 Null's stream for more creative good times, a lot of chill synth music, and just good community over there. The links are in the chat. So if you guys want to come hang out with me and 4 Null for more creative good times, click on that link. He's also available on DLive by the same name. So I invite all of you to follow me over there and unwind with us there. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making Dragons of Discord possible, everyone. Thank you for the financial support. Thank you to all of you who share the stream. And be sure to tune in next Monday night for the next Dragons of Discord for more good times. Good night, everybody.
Night.